It's round 3 of the 2025 MotoGP World Championship, and we're at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. It's time for the afternoon practice session, and this decides the running order for Q1 and Q2. Green light, and away we go. Hello everybody, welcome to the second practice session of the day. This is the practice hour, 60 minutes ahead of us to make sure we find out exactly who's hot and who's not ahead of what is arguably going to be a very, very difficult weekend, because we have got to keep this one going as long as possible. The track is still damp. Light rain at the moment is out there. The damp patches we had this morning, they've lightened up in areas, and there's a good chance that towards the final 15 minutes of this session, we might be able to get on to those blessed dry tyres. That is a big ask, and it's going to be a big hope that is what's going to happen. Same time though, we're racing here as we will be on Saturday for the sprint and Sunday for the Grand Prix. Qualifying was a little earlier on. The weather forecast for the weekend shows that Saturday will be brighter and Sunday will be full of sunshine, but the weather here in Austin tends to change on the toss of a quarter. We'll see what's going to happen. It's a bit nippy up in the commentary box as well. Now it's 8 o'clock here in the evening in the UK. 8 o'clock, by the way, is what I meant for the time. Same time as what it would be. Brain's gone fuzzy. So 3 o'clock over there in Kota. Same time for the two races across the weekend as well. Yes, I've just put a little coat on. Keep warm over the next hour. A little heater on in the background as we'll get going. So usual process, top 10 from this session will automatically progress to Q2. The remaining 12, or 13 in this case, will have to make their way through Q1 tomorrow. Clouds still blurry out there, track drying up. They're out there at the moment on wet tyres. Someone new, someone old, just to judge the conditions and get a few banker lap times in to begin with. So let's say good morning, or good afternoon, to TNT.
Everyone out with the wet tyres with the grooves in them at the moment, but when is going to be that moment? Definitely Moto3, it was still drizzling. Moto2, at the start of that session, as the watery sunshine was in the sky, the drizzle was still there, but then it abated, and since then it just feels like it's got drier and drier. But as soon as the MotoGP bikes and their power get put down, whether it be on acceleration and braking, that's where the dry line is going to start really forming now.
Yeah, those bikes obviously shift a lot of wind. Really? That helps drying.
So slicks already? There? No.
I don't think we're quite ready for slicks.
I don't think so.
Not with the 8 laps and 13 laps on them. They won't be tyres from Argentina, obviously. So yeah, I think that's a mistake with the caption.
Yeah, it is. It must be. It had the dotted lines on them, so it must have been the wet weather tyres. But you would be a brave rider. You wouldn't put it past the Marquez or Jack Miller, would you? But it almost certainly is. Whoa, for me in Aldeguer. Just keeping Fabio Di Gianantonio awake.
Yeah, a few riders catching themselves out there.
A reminder that Jorge Martin still out, Lorenzo Savadori in the saddle again, despite the fact that he had his own shoulder dislocation back in Argentina. But he is here. But Jorge Martin is around this weekend. I mean, if it wasn't bad enough watching from TV back home, watching from inside the garage, that'll be winding him up even more, I can imagine. He spoke to Nat Quirk over the lunch break, and he said to her that even Qatar is not a certainty, and whatever happens, he will not ride a bike before Qatar.
Yeah, it's good to see him back in the paddock, and obviously the fact that Aprilia was so dominant around here last year, it probably stings even more to be stood on the sidelines. I like the fact that he's pragmatic about when to come back, not rushing it, knows that obviously he's missed the first 3 rounds of the championship. Rushing back for round 4 isn't, if it doesn't make sense, he won't do it. So yeah, I think hopefully we'll see him back at Jerez, and he can kickstart his season in Europe. I can't wait to see him on the Aprilia, but obviously he's going to be behind the 8 ball, just no track time, even in Sepang. He's just harken back to memories of Barcelona last year after the GP season finished. So yeah, it's been a long wait for him to really get to grips with this Aprilia, to get to actually properly understand its character, and he still isn't quite there.
No, he's not just yet, as the first lap times start to come in here. As we welcome you back up, I've taken a seat. Pedro Costa on a 2:15.115. Pedro Bagnaia now 2:14.513. So there's still a couple of deltas that are jumping around out there. We sort of expected that to be the case this morning. Bastianini into 10th, Morbidelli into 9th. Raul Fernandez 14th, etc., etc. As we ride on board with Alex Marquez through the Mickey Mouse section, the first 5 turns. There's no spray like there was this morning. There's a few dry lines appearing, and it's not ready for wet. It's not ready to go to full-on dry tyres. It's sort of an intermediate stage that is catching a lot of riders out. And dry line on the way into towards turn 11 on the braking zone of the racing line. I'd risk it. Personally, I'd risk it. And do you know why I'd risk it? Because I think it's a good idea to punch hard and see what can be done. So let's go for it. Let's actually make a decision and go for slickers. Up the inside, Alex Marquez gets ahead of the Yamaha. And now we see Marc Marquez had a very, very, very nasty high side this morning. Exited turn 2, downhill, and it jumped on him nastily. But luckily, he was okay. The bike was returned to the pit lane. They've repaired that. He's now out on that said bike, bike number 1. And bike 2 was able to do the rest of the session relatively okay. Jack Miller goes up, Luca Marini goes up as well. So the deltas are changing. Lap time cancelled for Pedro Costa due to a shortcut. As Bagnaia's 2:14.513 still stands. Binder 8/10 down so far as he comes across the line. Marini to 2nd, Bezzecchi to 3rd, Zarco to 6th, Miller 8th as they come across the line. Binder improving up, Alex Marquez 2nd, Augusto Fernandez 10th, Brad Binder goes into 6th position. Pecco Bagnaia dropped 2 seconds in the 3rd sector, but Marc Marquez picks it up and goes fastest by over a second to 2:13.456. That was so close to the perfect number. If it was 1:23.456, that would have been, you know, the heaven for everybody. But a 2:13.456 will have to do, I suppose. But that was very close to being the perfect number. Morbidelli just outside. Bastianini gets himself into the top 10, 2:15.467. As we ride now with Luca Marini up through turn 8 and 9 into the Kinkert turn 10, downhill to the braking zone for 11. Past the Texan flag, the Lone Star State. Jack Miller right behind Luca Marini coming into the braking zone for turn 11. I wonder if he'll try and get a traction out of the last corner. Line it up perfectly across the line. See if that's going to do an old switchback attempt. It's not looking too bad. Still, there's a mist now into the braking zone for 11. So there is a slight wet mist coming through. I think we're going to have here.
But as you click 6th gear, you just don't want that at all. So you do need proper dry asphalt. To be fair, the tyres on no standing water deal well with the patches, but you do have to be so careful. Riders like Jack Miller, I've got to say, I've watched him over the years. It amazes me how he can do it. Activate the slick tyres on a wet track, go over those wet patches and have moments. And yeah, it is otherworldly when you see someone at that level who can do it.
Because you need to keep the heat in them.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Well, I mean, those tyres are actually hard to activate when it's fully dry. So when you got conditions like this, it's hard, because if you have to cruise a little bit or just ease off for a few corners, you know, on the right side, for example, on a left-hand turning track like here, you could find yourself with the tyre just a little bit too cold, just a little bit out of range, temperature range, and this is where you can get caught. So yeah, like Michael said, even in the straight, when you're a little bit leant over, those bikes in the dry with slicks still create some rear spin in 6th gear. They are that fast and that powerful. So if the track is a little bit wet, you've got to be really careful.
It's me and Aldeguer up into second now behind Marquez. Was then the 2 KTM factory riders behind him, Binder and Acosta. Mark's had a bit of a lap off and will go again. And Frankie Morbidelli goes up into 7th. Obviously had the incident with Oliveira back in Argentina. What have you made of Aldeguer's start to the season so far?
Yeah, been impressed actually. It's not easy to make the grade straight into to MotoGP. His speed has been impressive at times, and I think his approach has been good. He wants more. You hear from Frankie Carcetti, he's getting frustrated, and he's let's say flappable in the guard. Sometimes you see a young rider come in and he's just full of emotion, wants the results, wants to run before he can walk, but you have to be a little bit patient. So I think Frankie's managed to calm him down a little bit. Look at the long picture, which is later in the season as things begin to click. But yeah, he's transitioning quite quick and he's fast right from the outset. So I've no doubt Aldeguer will figure things out.
Just see the trouble on the suspension there when Jack Miller was coming down into turn 12. It's all been relayed over the last couple of years, this place, but it's just almost natural, the ripples in this. They talk about the gumbo, the clay-like substrate that they have here at the track, and it almost if, whatever you lay down, asphalt-wise on top, there are always going to be natural rolls in this surface.
Yeah, they've done a great job at redoing it. You know, a few years back, the track was actually in a really bad shape, and the riders were really concerned, you know, with those massive bumps. So yeah, they've done a good job. They've improved as well some of the sections for this year, and yeah, I've got to say the track looks good. Looks in good nick, and yeah, Jack Miller there looking good again in those mixed conditions. That Yamaha though, with the wing painted in purple like this, it looks a little bit like a sad face in the front.
Oh really? I think it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks a bit sad.
Like a sad face. Oh dear, Silva. Jukka Bacic to the line. You had the sneaky suspicion that he might have a say in the outcome if there's these kinds of conditions on Sunday.
Yeah, Johan excels at conditions like this, and he's very good at keeping the tires as well in the right temperature range. So when you usually have like a sort of drying track race, Zarco comes on and he's normally really fast towards the end of races, getting the best out of it. He's the Roberts family.
The junior on the left,
yeah,
and senior on the right, the legendary Roberts dynasty.
Have you seen the Moto America bike with their livery on for the... Is it North America Talent Cup?
It's a Moto America Talent Cup, yeah.
Yes.
Got about 8 sponsors as well.
They do have quite a lot coming through. So, Marc Marquez is still top on a 2:13.411. He improved that on the last run around. Alex Marquez finding Delta in that second sector, 2.5 tenths up, 0.234. Estimate to go P1 as we ride on board with him. Aldeguer, Acosta, Bagnaia, Marini, Fernandez, Rins, Chantra, Quartararo and Raul Fernandez are all in the pit lane, and I'd expect them to stay there, to be honest. I would find it very much unlikely if they came out while the track is still in these mixed conditions, because you're just going to burn up your wet weather tyres when you need them the most. Marco Bezzecchi goes up into 6th position with a 2:14.144, gets himself inside the top 10. That kicks out an Air Bashnini, and this man here, Alex Marquez, is now right on the bubble. He's 51 thousandths of a second faster than Mark as the TV cameras continue to break up. Coming into the last corner, we're back with Alex now on the front-facing camera. Now to the rear, over the line, into 2:13.384. Alex Marquez goes to the top here at the Circuit of the Americas on the Gresini GP24 Ducati. And are we going to see Pecco Bagnaia, who we're watching now, revert to that GP24? There's a likelihood that there is a chance he does it, but we could still see some changes around. Into the pits now comes Marc Marquez. Lap time cancelled for Lorenzo Salvadori as well on a 2:17.387. Just having that changed over at the front. So now we're into the first 15 minutes done. The track's trying to dry out. And let's just see where we're going to be in the next 15 minutes as we progress on to part 2 of 4 of this session. There's your running order completely. And you can see that they've all done it on the wet compound tyres within the first 15 minutes. So it's Alex Marquez, Marc Marquez, Zarco, Morbidelli, Miller, Aldeguer, Bezzecchi, Binder and Acosta with Bagnaia on the cusp. That's the top 10 automatically for Q2. Then it's Bastianini having to go through Q1 as things stand for Marini, Di Gianantonio, Viñales, Augusto Fernandez, Rins, Salvadori, Chantra, Aguirre, Quartararo down in 20th. Ralph Fernandez hasn't set a lap time that counts yet. And Juan Mir, just as I say that, rockets up to 8 to the 2:14.221. That kicks out Bagnaia as we stand from the running order. Wow. Let's head to TNT.
Yes, we want to see him back out there. There was the talk, and I know you discussed it with Susie early on today, but the talk about Massimo Rivola making a request to the other manufacturers about having an extra test. It was never going to happen, never going to wash. An idea for the future, perhaps, but you know, what constitutes an injury, what constitutes missing a day of testing, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's a can of worms, I think, open if you do allow that sort of thing to happen. So it was never going to wash.
No, not in the middle of the season. Maybe there's something they could think about, because you know, the idea fundamentally is probably quite good, but they would need to implement that, like, sort of from one year to another, like during the winter. I think if they were going to do that. But what a nightmare for Jorge Martin. I mean, world champion, looking at stepping on one of the best packages, you know, in the factory team with Aprilia. It was really exciting for himself, but it was also for all of us. And all of that, you know, ruined after after about 10 laps of winter testing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But then the question would be, and I'll just look forward, if that had happened next year, does that count as one test day that he did the day that he crashed? And you know, where do you draw the line? What constitutes an injury? What constitutes, you know, being allowed to be able to do that extra test? So I think it just opens a can of worms. My take on it.
They'll have to define it really well. And riders. The idea there is to improve the safety. Basically, is to make sure that your rider is ready to you know, to go again. Those bikes are physical to ride, and if you've been away for a long period of time, it would be good for them to have a go. That said, they are completely free. All teams, concession, no concession whatsoever. All riders are free to go and train on sort of like they're not super bikes, but they're like you know, they're fast enough to test your fitness.
Yeah, not far off, are they, in terms of lap times?
No.
No, they're not. And Ralph Fernandez will be looking at better times at the moment. I'll go back to that point later about Trackhouse MotoGP, because Juan Mir has just gone faster on 2:13.073 as well. Better lap time there. Yeah, so is a test day a test day? Well, there's several things that you can try and count in about this. Arguably no, arguably yes. I'd say you have to complete more than a lap for it to contest a test day, because Martin didn't even do that. He crashed on the first lap out the track in the previous weekend. So it's a question of who dares wins, or it's a weird one to try and work out. It's captured 1,000 frames per second right now as well. It's absolutely brilliant with Juan Mir at the top, 2:13.073 over the board as things currently stand here with 40 minutes to go of the session, and the second lap's starting to come in soon.
Mentioned before about Pecco Bagnaia saying he hasn't quite got the feeling. Myself and Neil were discussing this in the car on the drive into the track this morning. Is it a case that he hasn't quite got the feeling of the last year, or that Marc Marquez is showing him? Because he talked about the phase between initial break and apex. That was the phase where Pecco always had an advantage over. Is it that he can't find the feeling, or is there a Marquez effect in there? Is the fact that he said, I've seen on the data that Mark is quicker than me in the phase I used to be strongest at.
Yeah, and Alex is quicker than him as well. I think this is the biggest one for the ego, and rightly so.
Slicks,
your
Marini,
teammate.
Slicks. Marini is going out there on slick tyres. So is Marini's out there. So is Miller.
How quickly he can get up to speed.
Keep an eye on Marini as he heads out to see certain parts of this racetrack. I won't be fancying it.
That's not fast enough to keep the temperature, is it?
No, not quite.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting that the Bagnaia Marquez dynamic at the moment, isn't it? Because we know Pecco, he's a thinker, he's intelligent, he's considerate, he's quite mathematical. You know, he is a analytical, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I don't think any of us think Pecco's given up, or we don't think any of us think that he lacks self-belief. But he is being blasted full face, isn't he, with the Marc Marquez effect?
Yeah, it's, as Sylvain mentioned, it's a double whammy, a bike change, which sometimes Pecco can be a little slower to adapt whenever you take him out of his perfect comfort zone. Mark has proven he's adaptable. Alex has obviously jumped on the 24 and loved it from the outset. And then he's getting, like you mentioned, from the press, from everyone asking all these questions, but I think you just don't rule out Pecco Bagnaia. He is one of those riders that will figure things out, and he'll come out swinging, and I look forward to it. It's going to be a great fight when he does.
And he's got more points after 2 races than he had last year.
Yeah, he normally starts the season, sort of steady, so I think he'll definitely come on. Qatar should be a better round for him, and when we come back to Europe, I think we're going to see a lot more of him, but for now, he's struggling.
Let's not forget, he won in the sprint, crashed out of the lead here
Jack on
a couple of years ago. You know, he is, there he is, down through turn 2. Bagnaia isn't too bad around here, so let's not count him out at this stage. It's been a strange day so far. Wet track this morning, drying track now, and Miller and Marini out on slick tyres, and everyone in pit lane watching the outcome of this.
Jack is the reference, isn't he?
Look at him with his, the knee down already straight away.
He's leaning a lot there through those
Neil
wet
Hodgson's in the back of the coverage booth, watching it through the cracks in his fingers.
Yeah, I love how Jack makes this look possible or easy or comfortable to do, but I tell you what, there's not many riders in the world who can do this as early as Jack can. It's an exceptional talent.
Through turn 11.
See how he's there, how narrow the dry line was there, and then he's going to go in the straight now, and this is fully wet, so the bike is going to get really, really twitchy there.
Oh, wait, but he's up in that second sector, is Miller. Everyone is going to start coming out on slicks after this from Miller. They maybe give it a little bit more time, but there's a long way to go, and what we haven't to forget is the top 10 at the end of this session. I'm pretty certain we'll all be on slick tyres.
Yeah.
So you're going to need to get out there the sooner. The longer you're out, the more time you're out there, the more comfortable you're going to be. It's a real conundrum.
On the radar, looks like we're not going to get any rain, but if you look at the clouds...
I trust your radar for a second.
Yeah, if you look at the clouds, the clouds
looks hand-drawn, that app.
Oh, did you see Jack there again, crossing the wet patches? He's
quickest through the third split.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty special from Miller, isn't it? He's not blinking.
No.
He's got a clear visor. I haven't seen him blink once yet. Here he comes to the final corner. This has been catching people out in the wet.
He's got a dry line though, so he's definitely going to go top here, because you'll get a lot more drive with a slick there. He's going to, make quite a bit of a gap.
There we are. Still not quite the fastest lap of the weekend so far. That lap on a semi-dry track with slick tyres is slower than a full wet tyre.
So if you're in the box there, you're just watching Jack doing this, and you just go, right, so let's wait another 15 minutes, guys.
Yeah, but then in another 15 minutes, you're at the 20-minute mark, where normally you are heading out to do your fast laps. Yeah, but ultimately you're just going to stay out there, aren't you?
If you go out on slicks, you have to ride just like that. If you go any slower than this, the tyres are not going to work. The tyres are not going to be, in the working range. So you do have to go for it.
Do you know what? I know what Jack's going to say after this session. I'm almost certain Jack will say, "Well, everyone expected me to do it. Everyone's expecting me to go out and try it. So I thought I better do it before." before they do.
Well, Jack Miller is certainly going to go trying for it, and that's what we like to see. He's already half a second up in that first sector. What is sector 2? It's a 31.587, so already there's an improvement there in that middle sector. Down, but he's a second up nearly. Oh, and he's gone. Oh, he just nearly went straight on down at turn number 11. My goodness me. The pickup on that was extreme. Has he lost that second? Trail braked in and almost went straight on. He kept it on the track, though. So it's not yet the switchover point, and we are not expecting any more rain here in this second session of the day. It's light at the moment, track temperature 25 degrees Celsius, air temperature 21, winds at 4 kilometres, 80% chance for the remainder. Miller only lost 0.2 of a second by running wide down to turn 11. That's how much faster the track is in that final part. And it is gearing up more and more and more. And more riders are now coming out with those soft front tyres and rear, which is the best for the track conditions. Marc Marquez is booting himself up as well. Helmet on. It's a 2:11.583. 1.49 seconds faster than the wet tyres as things currently stand. Better lap time all round for Jack Miller. And 1 metre in second is now going to look like he's going to have to come back out again for sure on that Honda Castrol at the moment. We are back to dry running after a miserable wet day here in Austin, Texas, with 33 minutes to go. But the track is still going to take around about 15, maybe 20 minutes to generate some rubber, to generate that grip again. So we're going to be in for an interesting end to this day. Don't go anywhere as we get 3 wide up into turn 8, with Miller continuing to go 3.5 of a second faster.
Aldeguer and Bagnaia will be happy. Have they dialed that bump back in through turn 10? Because I'm sure it had gone last year.
They definitely did some work on it ahead of last season. It was much better. Still could upset some riders if they hit the curbs at the wrong angle, but yeah, it looks like it's another challenge for them to deal with here.
Aldeguer was off the edge of the track there. Maverick Vinales doing a personal best lap, but on wet tyres. Obviously, Maverick goes his own way.
Marini a bit closer, 4.7 seconds off Jack last time around, so it's obviously getting a little bit more confidence inspiring.
Marc Marquez still with no tyres in his machine. There it is. Just getting ready, getting prepped for him to head out onto the track. Miller, 1.5 seconds now through the third sector. It's definitely the time, chaps. The gauntlet's been laid down by the Aussie. It's been a very good start to the season for Miller, you have to say. Many people, you know, were not raised eyebrows. I don't think that's quite the case with Miller, but felt that he was given a reprieve by holding on to his ride. But I'll tell you what, he's served that back to them at the start of this season so far. There's the Townsville man, and a 2:09 now.
3.5 seconds faster than P2. That's not bad. Shows you the skills of Jack in those kind of conditions, and the confidence and the way he's riding. This is really, really stunning riding.
What does he do then? What does he do to be able to do this? What is it that Jack does?
Well, he's got that ability of knowing where the wet patches are, and sort of like when you get wet patches like this, you can sort of like glide on top of them with the hot slicks, and the bike just twitches a little bit, but it's a very fine line before losing it. And Jack is able to do that, just carry the corner speed, not be too tense, be kind of loose on the bike, and making the tire work, activating the tires. So,
what sort of setting do you put in the bike, Michael?
Dry.
Yeah, you don't go full, obviously, whenever you're looking for a full dry setup, it's a bit more rigid. You will soften it off a little to ease the transition, to get load into the tyres and make the bike turn, because you can't force it. You can't put the same load in over those damp patches. So yeah, just soften everything off a little bit to get the feedback and get the bike to naturally pitch and pivot.
Who else then in this remaining half an hour? Who should we be expecting? Marc Marquez, I think, is naturally we're going to think about. Is Johan Zarco, Frankie Morbidelli, is he another one? I've seen Frankie do this sort of thing in the past.
Frankie's good at it normally as well. He likes those conditions. Alex Marquez, is good in the wet and brave as well. So
never usually Pecco. Is he someone in the mixed conditions? You don't think of it like that, do you?
Even his wet weather riding has come on in recent years, but not that in-between scenario. He's possibly a little bit too calculated for it, in that not risk-adverse, but obviously doesn't want to do something a little bit daft.
Jorge Martin, I was thinking if he was out there now, I'm not sure I'd fancy Jorge in those conditions. Here is Bagnaia coming up to turn 19. Coming up, I say, heading downhill. Track bottoms out here. And then a little rise into the final corner for turn 20. .4 seconds off on Pecco's second flyer. Fabio Quartararo is just at a personal best lap, but he's outside of the 105%, should I say, the qualification time. You have to be within 105% of top spot. Jack's back in, Giacomo Guidotti, Jack and Jack, down there in the Prima Pramac garage. He'll be saying, oh, boys, it was sketchy out there. I guarantee he'll be saying that. They're like, yeah, we can tell. You're 3.5 seconds quicker than anybody else. Aldeguer's just gone fastest through the first sector. Keep an eye on the rookie. It could mix the grid up, this.
Yeah,
this could make Sunday's race.
We could, 100%. You could get, a lot of people out of place. Anybody that's going to put a brave lap in, they still have about half an hour, so we are going to see some much faster lap times coming in at the end of that session. But we're definitely not going to see, lap records or anywhere near the usual fast lap time. So whoever is a little bit brave, whoever's taking that little bit extra risk, could find themselves in Q2 directly and giving themselves a really good chance for the races. Also, with the limited track time in the dry, that's going to make a big difference. The grid, the position on the grid is going to be really important.
Who's that going to favour then? Surely it helps Marc Marquez even more, doesn't it? If you've started the season as strongly as he has, it helps the likes of himself and Alex Marquez that have got their bikes a bit more sorted.
Yeah, obviously you come to a circuit and you've got a good base reference, whether that is some riders like to bring their base reference from the previous race. Some like to look at the data from the previous season's race. But yeah, it looks like the Marquez boys right now, they're just taking it track to track and fine-tuning it for that circuit. I've got to say, this is a lap from Aldeguer. He doesn't look like a rookie in these conditions, someone who's should still be adapting to slick Michelin tyres in a damp track scenario, which takes a bit of figuring out. He goes second, less than a tenth off Jack Miller. Impressive stuff. Yeah,
and now Alex Marquez is challenging Miller's time, so the gaps are closing. The beauty for Miller is he's been out there now. He can have a little tweak to his bike, can't he, and then get out. And obviously, because you're not going to be destroying your tyres, you probably go out and spend the rest of the session out on track.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily. You could find that actually the tyres could get, graining and could get a little bit of, let's say, unusual wear because the track is very green and the track temperatures will be a little bit cool as well, and you're not using the tyre. A little bit like cold air, and using the tyre, at like say normal operational temperature. But those tyres are quite, that said, they're quite resistant. They've saved tyres, from this morning as well, because the tyres obviously are limited during the weekend, so they'll be able to get those used, get them moving around, and then put some new ones for a time attack later on.
Little twitch for Bagnaia, but it's a good lap him. Also a good first flyer for Marc Marquez out there. They're all improving significantly. Aldeguer's got that wrong in there, though.
The lap will still keep rolling, though. It's red paint out there. You can go out ahead to the bit after the curve, and it won't mean your lap's chalked off. So I think he'll still be maybe 1 second off. It's still going to be a fast lap here.
We are going to have a bonanza 25 minutes of MotoGP action because the times are just going to improve and improve. Bear in mind, the best ever lap here is a 2 minutes 0.8 from Maverick Vinales last year. An average race lap is a 2:02. We're in the 2:09s, so there is a lot of margin for improvement, and it's going to be constant now. So keep your eyes peeled for this, because as we roll on for the next 25 minutes, it's going to be the last rider, effectively, to cross the finish line that will probably get the quickest time.
The all-time screen there is going to look like a Christmas tree for 25 minutes, like non-stop, basically.
Yeah, just lit up in all different manner of colours. It's the red of Marc Marquez, though, that goes to the top of the timesheets with the 2:08.327 from...
Yeah, the time's now starting to finally come down. Franco Morbidelli goes up into 5th place with a good time. The red sector's flying through, and that's exactly what we need, as Alex Marquez, 1:38.964 is his third sector. He's 3.5 tenths of a second faster. Morbidelli, P5. Binder now, P5. That pushes Acosta to 11th, and outside of the Q2 cutoff, Alex Marquez through the last 2 corners, up towards the line, and this is now cooking with gas. The lap times here usually around a 2:02, so we'll get that sorted eventually when the track dries up more and more in the next 25 minutes. 2:07.999, brilliant lap time. Aldeguer is 7 tenths faster. Marc Marquez a whopping 1 second faster as things stand in the 3rd sector. So it's reds galore, really, and that's what we like to see. Who's just on the drop zone that needs to get through? D'Antonio, 12th. He's got a good first sector. Juan Mir, 15th. Good first sector again. So they're improving out there. Marc Marquez, though, still up and still finding those deltas. I have no doubt that it's going to be an interesting session. I think it's time I stand up for this one. Bagnaia up by 0.06 of a second. Aldeguer also improving. He's 7 tenths. Marc is a whopping 1.5 seconds faster. I can't work out where this is coming from. Marc is going to pass Aldeguer into the last corner. Have no fear, the King of Kota is back in action. Marc Marquez over the line to a whopping 2:06.042. Aldeguer 2:07.383. He goes second fastest now. Bagnaia third, 2:07.624. Ducati back into the reign of things. Shakam says Marc is extremely fast in sector 2. Dominatingly fast. Mir 5th, 2:08.359. Miller coming out now on slick tyres. I think that's a new set as well by the look of it. So, that puts Marc Marquez 2:06.042 top. Aldeguer, Bagnaia, Alex Marquez, Mir, Zarco, Binder, Quartararo, D'Antonio, Miller. That's your top 10. Alex Marquez is half a second down, but this will put him securely into second position as it stands. And look at Marc, he's gone 0.3 of a second faster in that first sector. He's not letting anybody go out there. Alex to the second, 2:06.846. Bagnaia lifts off. Marc continues, middle sector, 0.6 faster than his own best lap time. That is a full second faster than anybody else in that middle sector. Marc Marquez is on rails here at Kota. This is unbelievable stuff. Bagnaia trying to follow him. He'll let him through soon. Bagnaia's ahead of Marc. Marc's getting a lovely toe, but you don't want to be held up through 16, 17 and 18. The triple right that just sweeps up around you. He's nearly clipping Paco and Bagnaia as well. He's a second faster. What is going on? He's 1.9 seconds faster than anybody else. Lap time cancel for Alex Marquez. So Alex has had his lap time cancelled by the stewards. That's why he's dropped down from second back to fourth. Marc Marquez a 2:05.145. Aldeguer second. He's 9 tenths back. What is going on? Absolute domination. The king is back to claim his crown. Absolutely. I said it all last year in the commentary as well. Just you wait until Marc Marquez is back on a main Ducati, because he will not be one to be truffled. He's going to absolutely be the class and destroy everybody. Now he's let Pecco Well, actually, Pecco's backed out of a lap. Mark's on another push lap. 36.9 in that first sector. It's not going to be a much improvement for him. And Alex Marquez moves up into second place. Fastest sectors 1 and 4, 7/10 behind Mark. Mark Marquez, King of Kota. Ayagura to 12th. Lap time cancelled for Augusto Fernandez for a shortcut. So that's him coming back into the pit lane. What an absolute crazy time we're having right now here at the Circuit of the Americas. Really is such a fast, great time. So as you see the current running order on your screen with the Q2 runs, even that's slightly incorrect as well. What a run. Brilliant session. Brilliant times coming through. And now everyone will back into the pits before the ending. Let's send it back down to TNT.
I'm wondering if Mark is going to come back in here. Just the way he had so much more pace than Bagnaia, and now he's got in front of Pecco. Let's have a look. The entry to pit lane is just between the last two corners, between 19 and 20. There's 18.
Yeah, they'll probably both come in.
I think so. It's that time, isn't it? They've had their run on it. Let's have a look. Do they pull to the left-hand side? Yeah. Oh,
Pecco is going to carry on.
Staying out there. Okay. Interesting.
Looks like Mark thought about going as well.
Bit of kidology perhaps, but Mark Marquez back into the pits, and as I say, Jack Miller has just headed back out. He was the one who sounded the charge for the rest of the field here to put the slicks in, set the fastest lap, since been able to park it, have a couple of adjustments and head back out onto the circuit. As it stands, our top 10, the Marquez brothers 1 and 2 yet again. Fermin Aldeguer though, Gresini in third, Mir on the Honda in fourth. Is that? Yeah, that time is on slicks. They all, I'm pretty sure now, of the top laps are on slick tyres. Bagnaia fifth, Digi, Morbidelli. So that's all the Ducatis inside the top 7. That's another talking point right there, isn't it? Quartararo 8th, Acosta's back in the pits now in 9th, and Zarco in 10th. Ducati works well, whatever the weather.
Augura looks loose. He just rides that Aprilia with so much confidence since the start of the season. What a rookie season he's having, what a start of rookie season. Unbelievable. Frustration,
he goes up into 10th. Frustration though, Michael, with the non-homologated ECU that they were running back in Argentina. What's the story there?
Well, obviously Davide Brivio came out and said it's a shame to penalise the rider. It's no benefit to him. It was a mistake on our end. So yeah, I's the one who cops the flack for it. The rules are the rules, but yeah, not actually sure exactly what the scenario was. We know it happened earlier in the year with GPS.
For Alex Rins, wasn't it?
Yeah, sorry, for Alex Rins on after pre-season testing, came into Thailand and still hadn't took off the GPS element, which they're allowed to use in testing. Did you hear any answers of what it was with the non-homologated ECU on I's bike?
Yeah, so what I heard was that it was a genuine, it sounds like a genuine error. Yeah, it was an error. And so what I heard is that during the winter testing, Magneti Marelli asked some teams and some riders to try, let's say you could call it like an update, a little bit like when you update your software of your computer, but in the same hardware, so same ECU, and they try that update. That update was left in one of the ECUs, and when Augura crashed in the qualification, they replaced the ECU with the ECU that was programmed with that new software update, but the strategy into the system was exactly the same as normal. So there's no advantage for Augura, and it was a team error. There was no gain in performance because settings implemented were exactly the same. He was just basically running with a bit of a different updated software that might come in later on this year or next year, I believe. So it was just a test they'd done in the winter. So yeah, unfortunately for Augura, I think the right thing to do there would have been to keep Augura's points as a rider, but maybe take the team's point away.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's.
I mean, you can't. Yeah, but
it's really a shame for him because
absolutely, you're right. No, you are right.
Doing a great race,
it's harsh on the rider.
Yeah.
But rules are rules.
Yeah.
And I think anytime they start creating grey areas in black and white rules, then that's when you have a problem. So it's the right decision. It's just a shame.
Penny for Jorge Martin's thoughts there.
Well, I don't know how excited he'd be to be out
By
there.
looking at his face, I think he's thinking that he'd rather be at home.
Yeah.
And this is what you'd feel as a rider. You don't want to be there watching everybody riding while you're nursing.
He'll be bored. He will be bored.
Yeah.
Jack Miller just went up into second place. So, having been the rider that made the step, first of all, onto the slicks, being knocked out of the top 10, he's back up into second spot now. It'd be cruel if Miller didn't make it through in the top 10, wouldn't it?
He would have come out of that because he took so many risks and the track was actually a lot wetter when he did it. He would have come out and thought, oh, actually, it's not that bad now. And having a go, I feel confident. Zarco's going well as well.
Yeah, Zarco's up into top 10, so is Fabio Quartararo. So that's good news for the Japanese manufacturers. You've got Miller, Mir, Quartararo and Zarco in and around the Ducatis. Aprilia, meanwhile, Bezzecchi 19th, Savadori we expect at the back of the field, but Bezzecchi 19th, Raul Fernandez 18th, and it's Ogura who is top. Aprilia there as Johan Zarco goes up into fourth.
Augusto Fernandez is first. No, so it's 16 yet. So that's still good for Augusto Fernandez as a
standing for Oliveira on the Yamaha.
Yeah.
Miller's gone top, so Jack Miller's now taken over from Marc Marquez.
Jack attack by 30 thousandths of a second goes to the top. 2:05.115 with 13.5 minutes to go now. Start rubbing your hands together. This is where it's going to get very tasty. Lock yourselves in, folks. Anyone on an improving lap time so far? No one on an improving lap time. They're all sort of just holding it back and waiting to see what's going to happen next. What a fascinating, bizarre, challenging, complex race this is going to be this weekend. So just crossing your fingers, we might get a race, but your brain always says this is going to be a Marc Marquez race. Same way in Superbikes last year, you said it was going to be a Toprak Razgatlioglu. This year, you're saying possibly Nico Bulaga is going to go that far. You can join us for all the action of World Superbikes as well this weekend. We do cover World Superbikes. Racing is going to be live on the main JB Motorsports account. Practice 3 and the warm-up session live on JB Motorsports 2 as well. So join us for World Superbikes. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Hopefully we might have some guests this weekend as well joining us soon. All right, let's take a look down at turn 11. Sorry, turn 12, the heaviest braking spot on the entire track. This is Alex Marquez braking so hard on the front, the rear steps up, he pushes back down. 333 kilometers an hour on the brakes, down to 57 kilometers an hour. It's a first gear corner, and it's sort of like an acute angle corner as well to get right. It's such a tricky circuit, this. But what a race we've got coming up. Miller is king. Miller is king. But how's Mark going to Kia Koda? That's the question. 12 minutes to go. We're nowhere near the start of this one, closing into being a dramatic session yet.
Screen simultaneously on separate devices, meaning you'll never miss a single moment of racing from either Portimao or Austin. Remember, the clock's going forward on Saturday night in the UK.
They do indeed.
Here is Maverick Vinales towards our final corner, turn 20. Is he going to go inside the top 10? I think he is here, Maverick. Yes, goes up into 8th place. So a crumb of comfort perhaps for KTM and the Tech 3 team, but still a long, long way to go in this session and lots to be decided. Jack Miller did come back into the pits, so he will get a final run at this one.
Yeah, they're going to check some new tyres now. 10 minutes left, well, 11 minutes left, so everybody's going to have a go.
Right, you're a team boss down there, Sylvain, you're in the mix. How long do you give yourself out on track?
Well, do you
go twice?
You could go twice, and because you've saved some tyres from this morning, or you could go for a little bit of a longer run, because that kind of condition, sometimes you can find some improvements, you know, going for like 3-4 laps, and the laps are really long here, so you got to be careful with the timing.
That's the problem. You can't, if you do 2 flyers, you can't make another stop. So you either strategize it's 1 flyer and in and another tire, because it's 2.5 minutes more or less. You're out lap, and then 2:05 for the next 2 laps, and then you're in lap. So yeah, you're against the clock.
Yeah, I'm not even sure you get 2 runs now, do you? With 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Penny for that young man's thoughts, the reigning world champion. Let's hope we see him on a bike sooner rather than later, but let's hope that he's fully fit when doing so. Although fully fit, I'm not sure when that's going to happen for him with the recovering scaphoid. It was interesting to see his social media video laying it all out on the line of how tough he was finding it, because part of it is physical, the recovery, but part of it is a mental challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a waiting game.
Being honest with yourself.
And a heavy injury like this, he's had injuries in the past, so he knows the score, and he knows he's in trouble. You know, he would have known straight away. You know, the first week after the injury, you kind of get a feel, you know, if it's going to be like a 2-3 weeks, 1 month injury, or if it's going to take months to feel like okay again. So he knows what the score is, and unfortunately this injury is really heavy for him. So yeah, it will be tough mentally, you know, waiting. Being here will be tough, and yeah, having to wait and feeling that pain. You know, he'll be working every day at it as well, with the recovery, different techniques, hyperbaric chambers, you know, the physio work. It's a real struggle when you have to overcome that kind of injury. So yeah, hopefully Jorge Martin can be back soon, but I feel like it's going to take a long while for him to you know, to be competitive again, because of the nature of the injury.
Gianantonio skating through the right-handers here, the trio of fast rights, and down into turn 19, track dropping away from you as it goes back up the hill here now up to turn 20. Currently in 10th place, Didja. Where does he go with this?
3rd fastest.
It's a 3rd place.
2:05.513. Good time. Morbidelli now.
Still 6 or 7 riders are back in the pits, a few more on their outlaps. Marquez has just crossed the line, just ahead of Gianantonio, so he's about to go again, currently in 2nd. Didja 3rd. Where does Morbidelli go? Outside the tennis thing stood, and then he's up to 8th now. Pushes Bagnaia outside, but Bagnaia's had a good first sector. Bezzecchio to 6th. That's good news. There was hope this weekend, the Aprilia, which worked so well for Vinales this weekend. Remember, this is the last non-Ducati win, came here 1 year ago.
I know, it was such a great performance by Vinales. One of those performances, you know, when the rider really makes a difference. Yes, the Aprilia works well around here, but Vinales last year was just like supremely fast. He was so confident. He was able to overtake. I mean, it looked like he was riding with different tires or in a different category. He was just overtaking people right, left, and centre. It was unbelievable, the facility that he had around here. So yeah, it was looking really good. Yeah, it was the only win from another manufacturer but Ducati. So it was a great effort by him. It's one this track though. We've seen that in the past. We've seen it with Alex Rins with the Honda, Alex Rins with the Suzuki.
Yeah.
We've seen riders really making the difference here, and it's because it's a quirky track, it's a difficult track, it's a physical track where the rider really can make the difference.
This could seal Bagnaia's passage safely through into...
Yeah, it could do, because there's a lot of riders on red lap times. Bagnaia over the line, 12th to 3rd, 46 thousandths off of Jack Miller's time. What a close top 3 we've got so far. Brilliant stuff now starting to come through. On board with Marquez over the line. He's half a second faster. 8 tenths! Are you absolutely kidding me? Wow! A 2:04.220. 0.895 faster than Miller in these conditions. Digi to 2nd. He's half a sec. He's 6 tenths back to Mark on a similar bike. Wow! Acosta goes 5th. Morbidelli had the first 2 sectors. Now he's 11 seconds back. Don't know what happened there. Alex Marquez also looking strong. This is pandemonium at best. Alex Marquez to 5th place. 2:05.243. So Mia is currently in 10th position. Has Morbidelli gone down? Where is he? Now, Morbidelli's just crossed the line to restart a lap time, but he was so far off the pace, even I was getting worried. Wow! Bagnaia, 25,000 down. Marc Marquez, he's half... Marc Marquez is 0.6 of a second faster than himself. And he's already 0.6 of a second faster than Di Giannantonio. As things stand, he's won. Oh, he's went wide. Mark's went wide. Curse of the commentator. Not my fault. Not my fault. I didn't say anything. No. I'm complimenting Mark. But still, he's just trying to add a little bit. That's not too bad at all. Whew. What a lap we're having. Bagnaia also has gone wide. Yeah, so they've both backed out there with 4 minutes to go. Aldeguer still looking strong. What can Fermin Aldeguer do on the Gresini? The BK8 sponsorship, of course, this year. Or the Bike 8. 9th to 3rd. Stunner, 204, 961, 7/10 inside. So Ducati's still there, but it's GP25 Evo, GP24, GP24. That's all that's there at the moment. It's a interesting situation of how they're running with things at the moment. Acosta's only a 10th down. That'll move him into 2nd position. Yeah, can I just point out right now the gap? Marc Marquez, half a second. Now is Acosta in 2nd. He's still half a second back. Marc Marquez, forget being on cocaine, forget being on heroin. Marc Marquez has moon gravity. To be this fast in a damp track, he has to be floating through some of the corners. Absolute madness. Ayagura up to 4th. Stunning lap time from him on the Trackhouse, on home soil, remember. This is Trackhouse's only Grand Prix of the season. 207.983 for Alex. Goes 8th. Ayagura, as I said, to 4th. Morbidelli's into the pits, so yeah, he won't have much time left. Yellow flag. Bless me, excuse me. Johan Zarco has crashed at turn 15. And that brings out the yellow flag. And that's going to really struggle. Now, what's happened? Turns into... Oh, and it's on entry on braking. Stay sanitised, guys. Hand sanitizer to kill off the bacteria because I just sneezed into my hand. So just getting some Purell to clean myself. Yeah, that's where Mark crashed a couple of years ago. It's so easy. The bike did hit the barrier, actually. So yellow flag's still there. Mark's going to lose out on this lap time as well. And he was 7/10 up. Ah, but the yellow flag's just come in now. And Mark is there. Okay. So Mark might just get away with it. There's no active yellow flags. And he's 0.8 of a second up on his own best time. Acosta, 0.2. Mir, 2.5. Bagnaia has his lap time cancelled. So does the 25. Well, his lap time got cancelled anyway, so yeah, that was not really going to be a surprise for Ralph Fernandez. Over the line for Marc Marquez. This is amazing! I can't believe this! It's a 2:03.469. Marc Marquez is currently 1.2 seconds faster than the rest of the field. Pedro Acosta stays 2nd. 1 Mir to 3rd. No, 1 Mir to 2nd. 2:04.342. Acosta's 3rd. Marini 9th. Mir is 8/10 back. Mark is the only one doing 29s in Sector 2. This man is a menace. I agree with you, my friend. I agree with you. Here's Alex Marquez. 2nd in all the races so far this year. 2 sprints, 2 Grand Prix. He's 2nd again. 5/10 back. It's a 2:04. Well, I can't tell you. It's a 2:04.069. Last 5. Miller 2nd. Miller on the Yamaha jumps up. 2:03.953. Marc Marquez is still saying beat that. The first sector, he is 0.3 faster than anybody else. He's now in Sector 2, and he's a further 3.5 faster. It's a 29.847, as you pointed out. Great spot. Aldeguer doing a 29 as well, but that's a 9.78, so watch out for him in that middle sector. He's 15,000 off of Marc Marquez's time. This is an amazing session. The track drying up at the right point, giving us the whoops that we need. Aldeguer is now dropped 2 tenths back, but Marquez in Sector 3 is increasing that gap. He's now 0.466. He's half a second away. Vinales 6, 204.556. Fermin Aldeguer over the line, goes from 9th up to 2nd place, 203.902. Bagnaia now at the cut, he's in 10th and goes 7th. That's not safe enough. Marquez, a swing and knocks it out of Austin, Texas. It's into the next state. 202.929. The King of Kota fighting back. He's 9 tenths faster than anybody else here. Acosta 5th. Checkered flag is out. Mia 6th. That's locked in. Eyes on Bagnaia in 7th. Zarco's his crash didn't get back in time. He stays 16th. He'll have to go through Q1. Alex Marquez 4th at the moment. 7 tenths down. Hell, that's still good enough for 2nd. And it is 2nd. 8 tenths off the pole time, and he's still 2nd. 203.811. This is unbelievable. Marquez is an entire field away to everybody else. 8 tenths of a second in motorcycle racing is an eternity. Brad Binder makes his way into 10th position. Good, stronger run there. Here comes Quartararo. As I just said, he's up to 9th now, that's 10th because we've got more lap times coming through, yeah. So, catching up with one TV screen saying Binden 10th, 204.761. Don't think that's going to last though because Fabio Di Giannantonio jumps up into P2, 203.665. He's still 7 tenths away from Mark. Let's just get that into our heads. Franco Morbidelli is 6 tenths away. He's in 20th. And this could be a great shout for Morbidelli to jump right in and kick out Fabio Quartararo. There's not a lot many people left. Watch out as well for Raul Fernandez and that of Enea Bashini. Morbidelli 20th up to 3rd. Yeah, told you, that kicks out Quartararo, 203.766. Stunning lap times coming through. Where is Marco Bezzecchi? 1.7 seconds down. That doesn't mean much. And I mean it really doesn't. Well, Quartararo, well, yeah, Bagnaia's 1.5 seconds down to Mark, so Bagnaia really is in trouble here. Has everyone taken the flag? We need to wait for Marini. Bashini goes 18th, Zarco's out of it, that's it, everyone's done. Bagnaia gets through by the skin of his teeth, while his teammate is 7 tenths ahead of the nearest competitor. Marc Marquez, a 202.929 in mixed conditions. Sensational. The King of Kota is vastly becoming the reigning king of MotoGP. No one else can get near him. This is another level. He's had years of misery with Honda, with injury. Now, he's on the perfect bike, the perfect machinery, and he is meaning business. Great job from VR46, 2nd and 3rd, Digi ahead of Morbidelli. Alex Marquez 4th, Aldeguer 5th, Miller 6th, Acosta 7th, Vinales 8th, Mia 9th, and Bagnaia in 10th. And, well, this is unusual. Jack Miller has stalled, so Jack Taxis, Miller Caps, is now getting a bump from Fabio Di Giannantonio. So it's time for somebody else to give Miller Caps the run to TNT. Wow, what a session.
There's his thank yous to Digi.
He's got plenty of credit in the back. he's normally the tool truck.
Well done to Giannantonio. Starting to come to the fore, isn't he, Fabio? 5th place in both the sprint and the race back in Argentina. I love the way Frankie starts with his legs flailing behind him. 3rd quickest for him. They've got special livery this weekend, which I think is 100 times better than that one.
I thought so too. Not a fan of this livery.
It's a Stars and Stripes kind of backing. We've got like, what you say, American sport numbers on, so like basketball.
Looks really cool. When they're going to unveil it, just for the sprint?
Well, they showed it before the weekend.
I mean, like...
But, yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, the airbag went off.
Airbag went off for Frankie. That's the bumps on the track, is it?
Yeah, I think so. You could see that as he came up, the back of his shoulders was flapping a little bit with the turbulence, and then the bumps, and then obviously the algorithms read it that he's tumbling, and off it goes.
And that one, he'll have noticed that one, won't he?
Yeah.
How strange is that?
And when he goes off like that, it is a bit of a shock. You know, it's quite violent.
And he'll be trying to catch his breath as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Lucho in the middle watching on.
And Mark 7/10 ahead of P2. So, yeah, looking really strong once again.
Yeah, I mean, these are the conditions you expect him to go well in. And he backed it up. Had his first crash of the day earlier today, but recovers his position at the top of the timesheets at the end of day one at a circuit he's had so much success at over the years. Victories galore. Remember, he took the win in 2013 when he became the youngest ever winner in MotoGP, taking the records from Freddie Spencer. Missed out, of course, in 2019, his most dominant year in MotoGP. When yeah, the bike had a little problem and he crashed out.
Great to see for DG that. He's been obviously struggling still, you know, those first 2 races with his broken collarbone from Sepang. It was only in February. So, and his shoulder from last year, so yeah, step by step. He did say there's a lot more to come from me this season, and yeah, we're starting to see it now.
Absolutely, I'm excited about what he might bring as the season goes on. Again, Ducati's dominating. The bike is just set, isn't it? Just a package that rolls out there, and the fact that Aldeguerres makes it through it. When you have conditions like this, that's what you need underneath.
Yeah, it is. It's also important. Actually, the Ducati dominance is quite evident here whenever you look at that timesheet from today. It is a bike that works at all racetracks at the moment. When you go here, bit of an anomaly with the hard brake and direction changes in it. It just works, so it's such a good package, and every rider seems to have a good base to work from, and even Aldeguerres, the rookie, getting through today.
Bezzecchi, for me, is the disappointment, just because with Aprilia having won here last year, you'd hope that he was in there. But full credit to Maverick Vinales for getting through on the Tech 3 KTM. That's great news, isn't it, for KTM and particularly for Tech 3, who are finding going tough at the moment. There's Zarco, who crashed at the end of that session. You know, sort of session you'd expect there to be tons of crashes, but these riders just judge it, don't they?
Masters, they yeah. You know, lots of people think riders are crazy. They are everything but crazy, especially these guys. They are measured, they know exactly what they're doing, and this is why they don't make so many mistakes, even in the trickiest conditions. This was pretty tough today, you know, with those patches. You've got to be so careful, and they went all out and delivered once again.
Well, my thanks to all of you at home as well. What an interesting day we've had then. For Friday, mixed conditions, but it's delivered a thriller. Join us tomorrow for free practice 2 ahead of qualifying and the Tissot Sprint for the Motorcycle America's Grand Prix for MotoGP's 3rd round. Thanks for your company. We'll see you later on. Bye-bye.